If you guys want to paint your ceilings fast, and I mean really fast, then you've come to the right place. We're not going to be using the traditional method, but instead, we're going to be using an airless sprayer. So you can achieve a better finished ceiling in a fraction of the time it takes using a brush and roller with less mess and less exertion. Stay tuned for an inside look at how the pros actually do it. If you've never used an airless, go to the video I'm going to link in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to give you a detailed step-by-step instructions on how to get this thing set up and how to spray. Now it's important, guys, not to get intimidated by this process. You can do it even if you're a do-it-yourselfer. Now, these machines you can rent at your big box store or at your local paint store for about $150 a day. But if you guys stick with me, I'm going to show you how you can tackle this job in about half a day, maybe even faster. Now, when you go to rent your airless, what you're going to want to ask for is one of these. You might ask, what is this? This is an extension. This hooks to the end of your spray gun, and your tip that normally goes on your spray gun is going to go right here. And what this does is it's going to allow you to not raise your arms all day so that it's easier for you to spray these ceilings out without killing your neck and your shoulders by looking up and rolling all day long. Another thing you're going to need is a respirator. I recommend an N95 filter type and above. That's so you're not breathing in all those fumes and all that particulate matter. You're going to want to grab yourself an 18-inch roller. This is twice as big as a standard size 9-inch roller. This is going to double your speed when it comes to painting these ceilings. That means less overhead looking, less raising your arms. This particular roller is a 1/2 inch Purdy White Dove. You're going to want an 18-inch roller frame also, and an extension pole. And this particular extension pole is a 4 to 8. In other words, it starts out at 4. You can push this little button on the back and it'll extend out to 8 feet in case you have higher ceilings. Now, in case you guys missed the video on how to set one of these up, I'll give you the quick version. So this is your pickup tube, goes in your paint. This is your prime tube, goes in your trash bucket. We got an empty trash bucket. Now you want to make sure your machine's in the off position and your pressure's all the way down. Right now my machine's in the prime. I'm going to turn my pressure all the way down, turn my machine on, put it in the prime position, put my prime tube in the trash bucket until I see paint come out. Then I'm going to transfer it over and or stop. There's paint. Now, grab your airless gun, squeeze the trigger before you switch your prime back to spray mode. Put it in spray mode, turn your pressure up. Same thing, right here until water comes out. Then we're going to transfer it over and we're going to let it run for about 30 to 45 seconds to ensure that only paint is coming through this and not paint water. Paint. And just let it run. Okay guys, now we're going to put our extension on, our spray tip on the end of our extension, and we're ready to roll. We got our extension pole hooked up. We got our tip on. This tip's a 517 HEA. You can use bigger tips, but there's reasoning behind why I use this size tip. Now, the number's on 517. The first number, you want to double that, and that's your fan width. So you're going to have a 10-inch fan width. And the last two numbers simply refer to the amount of material that comes out of the tip. So we got our 18-inch roller here. We're going to set that on the wall. And the first thing we want to do is we want to load that roller up so it's nice and saturated with paint. So you're going to find yourself a spot on the ceiling. You're going to put quite a bit of paint on there. Then you're going to take your roller and you're just going to roll into it. And you want to do that over and over again until this thing is nice and saturated. It's called loading the roller. Okay, we've got our roller loaded up. Now, what we're going to do, the first thing I do is I'll start in a particular location and I'll put my airless about 8 to 10 inches away from the corner, and I'll come at that corner at a 45-degree angle, about 8 to 10 inches away, and I'll go all the way around my ceiling, so I'm getting those edges first. So I've gotten my corners, my roller's loaded and ready to go. It's important to always wear a respirator. I just can't talk with one on, so that's why I'm not wearing one. Now what you want to do, I usually start in my corner again and I work my way out. You want to overlap the fan pattern you laid down half the fan width. So if I start here, I'm gonna go over half that fan width, and remember I'm 8 to 10 inches off the wall. Now it's important to note, guys, you always wanna roll perpendicular to your main light source. So my main light source is this window. So when I'm walking into this room, I want to roll against it. And I just roll overhead like this. I really don't even look, I kind of just feel. And you guys, it's important to keep a wet edge when doing this. And what I mean by that is, if I roll here and the edge of my paint is here, when I come back to that position, I don't want that to be dry. So I always want to maintain a wet edge. That being said, one of the advantages of using this spray method is you can literally spray this entire ceiling out without stopping, and the whole thing's still going to be wet. And you can just pick up where you started spraying and roll the whole thing out all at once without having to worry about dipping in a bucket and getting a dry edge. Quick note also, guys, when you're not using your roller and you want to rest it on your wall, if you see the shape of this thing, you don't want that roller hitting that wall. So you kind of want to rest it where it's not really on the wall. I don't know if you guys can see that. If you put it on the wall, what's going to end up happening, worst case scenario, if you put it on the wall and you leave marks like that, you want to roll them out, because if you don't, on your final coat, it's going to flash. So you guys might be wondering why we're using the roller in the first place. Why don't we just spray it on? Well, if you spray it on and you come back later, you have to do a touch-up, you're going to have to respray it, because if you try to just brush or roll a touch-up, it's going to flash on you. In other words, you're going to see a huge difference. You're just going to have these spots all over your ceiling where you've touched up. So we always back roll so that when we have to come do touch-ups, if we do it with a roller, it's going to look exactly the same as what we originally put on. Nobody wants to go back, cover all their furniture, all their carpet, break out a sprayer just to do a tiny little spot. So that's why we do it. Okay guys, our ceiling is done. Now we just have to clean this airless out. For that, hit that video right there. I show you how the best, fastest way to clean an airless out. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. Until next time.